Hi everyone, this is Mike Seiler. One of the points I made during our clinic time was trying to move forward against the forces of the turn which want to push us back. On the left, this is Michaela Schifrin skiing at Killington in her victorious slalom run, and I wanted to look at just a quick turn or two from this. She is about to make a turn to the right, as the racers like to call it, a left footer, because the weight is more on her left foot throughout this turn. But as she just comes into the turn, the thing I'd like you to focus on is how long her left leg is getting out here. So what we're looking at is this leg and how it just went from being in this position where it was flexed and then it's extended out and gets longer, so that she's looking actually much taller at this point. And that puts her in a very strong, powerful position so that she can start to stand against the forces of the turn. And we'll also notice, as we put our eyes down here around this left ankle, how she'll stand with that leg long, but the ankle is flexing as she's coming through the part of the turn right here by the gate. You notice right there, you can't see it real clearly because of how much snow is in front of the boot, but you can tell by how far forward the knee is that there's quite a bit of ankle flex that's going on there. So again, nice long-legged action there, and the ankle is flexing, and what that's doing is it's keeping her upper body moving forward here as she's heading through this phase of the turn, rather than letting herself get pushed backwards or downward. So we'll look at that again, just nice and slow coming in here. Leg gets long, ankle flexes, and what I talked about, especially in my group that Harold was in, was the idea of getting tall to try to get everyone to experience and feel this sensation. And I think that that's something that you really picked up well on, especially after doing the drills where we got rid of our poles and we had our hands over on our knees, help create some new awareness and sensations of where our hips were relative to the balls of our feet. And we'll go ahead and just watch one more turn here. Here she is at the crossover point, and we'll watch this time. It's going to be on the other side on the right leg, and we'll watch the leg come very long here at this point, and the ankle bending, bending, bending. And so what that again is doing is it's allowing her to keep the upper body moving in this direction rather than the forces of the turn pushing her back in this direction. And again, the thought process we used was get tall, but the idea here was everybody tended to use way too much knee at this point, and that was dropping the hips back and inside. I would also mention that that would be something that people like Les and Keith can pay us special attention to, this part of the turn where we get a little bit long. Les was starting to do a great job with that by the end of the day that we last skied together. So let's go over and do a little bit of a comparison here. Now Harold is just about at this phase here where we saw Michaela coming into this turn. And so we'll watch what's happening as this turn develops. So what we're going to want to be doing, this will be a turn to Harold's right, so we're going to be watching what happens here with this left leg as he's coming into the turn. So what we want to be seeing here is, does that left leg get long and strong, or do we see quite a bit of motion at the knee, which I think you can start to see is really what's happening right here. A whole lot of knee. And what that's ending up doing is taking the body here and moving it in this direction rather than keeping it moving in this direction. So again, we'll just notice that that comes down. If we compare, still putting the skis on edge at this point, still putting the skis on edge, 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 edge. and maybe somewhere in right about there we might see release starting to happen somewhere in here. Now we do see the legs start to get long at this point, but we can't see it real great with this angle, but we're almost at 90 degrees angle here. Remember, the other thing that we said is that we have to have this amount of flexing here going on at the ankle. It would be a considerable amount of acute angle going on right here at this point, and that's what keeps the upper body moving this way, versus you can almost draw the line up from the ball of the foot here. If we just went up from about here and saw where the motion was moving and where the body was moving relative to that line, and of course if we drew that up really on Michaela, a lot of her body would be in front of that line. So again, just a way to be looking at and trying to tell where we're going with our body is where is it moving relative to our feet. Yeah, and in many cases our center of mass is actually just right out here, a little bit in front of the body, so we're really watching, is everything going forward relative to our feet, or is it backing up relative to our feet? And of course, if it backs up relative to our feet, the other indicators that we can look at is, do we see the tip of the ski really bending and cutting in and snow spraying off from here, or does it seem like it's not really biting and digging in and we're relying more on the back part of the ski here? So let's take a real quick look at one of the runs here that Matt was doing for us, and we see that coming down, we'll get a little better shot where he's right next to us here. And so this is the crossover point where the skis go flat. This is changing from a left footer to a right footer, and boom, right there. So now this is the important point of starting to look at and analyze the turn. And again, what we want to see here is watching the difference between the ankle and the knee, and that's going to tell us whether or not we're going to see the body moving back or whether it's going to be moving forward relative to the feet. And I think that you could see there that was a lot of knee that we saw, really almost the first motion. And that might be the simplest way for everyone to think about it, is in terms of when you're here at crossover, are you sensing right away the knee flexing action as being one of the first moves that happens? And when that starts to happen, it's going to drop the body back. And what we'll really see here is you'll notice the amount of rotation that it ends up creating here, and that's almost always usually the kind of relationship you'll see when you go back on the tail of the skis. The tip of the skis aren't working to pull you into the turn, and so what ends up happening is we take that natural desire to want to rotate, and then we add to it because the skis aren't diving into the turn, so we enhance it by turning our shoulders. And again, the simple thing for everybody to kind of work on is either make yourself aware of, am I moving a lot with the knees at first? Or what we worked on quite successfully was just trying to stand taller and be taller, which of course moved our hips up and forward. And then we were able to get the front of the ski working much better for us as we go into the turn. So as you watch through your videos in slow motion, that's something that you want to be looking for. Good luck everyone working on that, and hopefully you start to own it and feel it. It's a habit to want to use that knee a lot, so even if you get it, you'll find yourself falling back when you start going to different terrain, different speed, different snow conditions. Keep, always thinking and reminding, going back to that feeling of when you own it, when you're standing taller and working the front part of that ski, and it'll be a constant, endless challenge, but when you get it, I think everybody could really feel what a huge difference that made. Good luck with that, everyone.